Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Remember all the different things that our moms and our dads used to tell us all the time? And now, as parents and even grandparents now, we say the same things to our kids. My mother taught me about contortionism. She used to say, just look at the dirt on the back of your neck. And then my mom taught me about behavior modification. Stop acting like your father. And Mom's famous words, she taught me about receiving. You're really going to get a good one from your father when he gets home. We all did that. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, a big spring tire sale going on right now, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service, 734-6969. Without further ado, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
You?
I figured I'd do the pledge on this gray, rainy morning.
All right, buddy, go ahead.
All righty. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By the way, I want to compliment you. You have really been doing a great job lately, and the phone only rings at the most once, maybe twice in the morning when I call over there. You are like a vulture perched over a carcass. You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You know, we have those days where the phones can be kind of tricky, so it's nice when it wants to, what's the right terminology? It's
work.
Nice when the phones want to work for you for once.
I agree.
After a whole week of it being a pain in the butt.
Literally. Listen, let's get the weather on here right now. Brought to you by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems. And they're offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems. Oh, you better check it out. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Right now, here's the weather.
Typical spring day here in the Magic Valley, and this is what the weather forecast is for the rest of the week. We are expecting some rain showers for today, about an 80% chance. Plus, still on the breezy side, winds out of the southwest, right around 50 to 25 miles an hour. Thunderstorms possible for this afternoon. High of 48, tonight low of 35. Tomorrow, the wind's really going to be picking up out of the west, right around 30 miles an hour. Gusts possible 45 plus, so we could be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. High of 47 with an overnight low of 31. Then for Friday, looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 51, and mostly sunny and close to 60 for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And the weather brought to you by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. I'm going to talk about dodging a bullet in just a moment. So stay tuned, and that is a message for all employers today. Be sure and listen in about 65, 70 seconds. Hey, don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. It's America's Diner. What a great place to eat. Check out all those great new burgers they've got on the menu. I mean, like the Bacon Gouda Burger and the Honey Jalapeno Bacon Sriracha Burger, just to name a couple of them, along with great breakfast and dinner menu. Oh, it is good at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and your home anytime, all the time for great eating. Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. Also, quickly, as we mentioned a moment ago, our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, number to remember. They're there to serve you, 678-0459. And they're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday for all, I mean everything, your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. They can and will help you. Nice people for over a half a century at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Really good folks. Okay. All those that own a business or manage a business or whatever, please do not almost fall into the trap that I almost fell into. Whew. Fortunately, I did a little homework and I avoided the onslaught of venom from my lovely wife. Today is Administrative Professionals Day. It used to be called Secretary's Day. May I suggest to all the business owners, managers, etc., don't make a mess in your nest. You better make sure that you tell them thank you with flowers or chocolates or a gift card or lunch or whatever. This day first originated in 1952, and I feel so good that I averted a potential tempest in a teapot, and I remembered it's Administrative Professionals Day. And Deanne, I know you're listening in the other room. I know you have a smirk on your face, but I promise I am going to take you out to eat later on today. There you go. I'm covered. You folks better not forget out there in Radio Land. Woo-hoo. You ain't seen trouble like you're going to get if you do. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, by the way, Berry Equipment and Rental, you should, that they have all the equipment to get the job done right. And they've got 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and another big one, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Look at the grass, the way it's growing with all this rain and everything. I'm telling you what, boys and girls, if you want to really mow like the pros do, check out those Walker mowers, 0% interest for 48 months. Ho, ho, ho. Those dudes can cut the grass. And they've got them right there at Berry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. I believe we're going to be talking to Juan over there at Berry Equipment tomorrow, so look forward to that. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I said this the other day, and I mean this. I hope that Ann Coulter, conservative speaker and author, pushes the envelope across the table, caller, I'll be right with you, and goes to Berkley to speak on the campus tomorrow. She was scheduled. She was contracted to be there on the 27th, and everybody has tried to mishy-mash and wishy-wash this thing and not allow her, because she's conservative, to speak on the campus. I hope she pushes the envelope. I hope the left absolutely gets this right back in their face, and I certainly hope and pray, and I mean this, that the campus police and the city police do their job and stop the vermin, which they are, from protesting, burning, looting, damaging, and threatening people's lives. Get out the billy clubs, boys. Get out the billy clubs. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. You know, I heard on TV last night, just briefly, that the mayor of Twin Falls was going to be on either NBC or CBS this morning. Did you know anything about that?
No, and really what Sean Berger does on behalf of the Twin Falls City and their city council, I shouldn't say that I couldn't care less, but I don't put much stock in what he does, what he wants to do, or what he says. Extremely liberal city council, and they're trying to get the input for a welcoming city, which I think is asinine. They've got better things that the general public wanted them in office for, rather than sitting down and figuring out how to put a sign up that says, we're a welcoming city. I mean, I just don't take much stock in Mr. Berger.
Well, I feel the same way you do, Zeb, except for the fact that I like to know what my enemy is doing.
Well, I wouldn't call him an enemy, even though they spoke very harshly a couple of years ago about me, and that's when all the racism came up about me and my program. And I have not many good things to say about those folks, that gentleman in particular. But, I wouldn't call them an enemy. They're not an enemy until they prove to me they are an enemy.
Well, I don't know the man, but I don't like his values. And his values represents him. So,
well, Keith, as you well know, Keith.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Keith, as you well know.
On the opposite side of what is right.
Yeah. Keith, as you well know, and being a former serviceman and a man that I know looks at both sides of the issues, they, being the left, they have a right to their opinion, the same as we on the conservative right have a right to our opinion. It's when one side tries to close the mouth or close the microphone of the other side, that's when you have a problem, or when one side decides that they are the elitists and they are better than the other side, that's when you have a bigger problem. And that's what it's amounting to. And I'm very, very cautious about what they do, what they say. I'm on top of most of what they put out as far as their verbiage and kind of an elitist attitude. So, yeah, I'll keep watching it, keep listening. But no, to answer your question, I really didn't know that he was going to be on a national network hookup, and nor do I care.
Well, I feel the same. I would like to have known what kind of propaganda he was putting out.
Yeah.
We don't, you probably know more about this than I ever would, because in Minnesota, when they send in 100,000 Muslims into that area, what chance would an ordinary person have?
Not much. As far as your business and as far as I'd be watching my back 24/7, 365, I'm very adamant that we cannot and should not change our culture and heritage of the United States by groups of people that come in here and will disavow everything for our culture, and they want to maintain what they left from the Middle East. And that, to me, is as un-American as it gets.
Well, our government, they change things around to the opposite of what they should be. Like, let's take back in the late 60s, 70s, in that area, when the black people, if you had a job opening, they had a first chance at that job, and housing, they were able to do things like that, too. I remember in Mountain Home, Idaho, for the Ford dealership, they were trying to conform with the regulations and everything at that time. And this black guy was picked to run that store. And he simply was not qualified.
Well, I gotta cut this a little short.
Good people.
Yeah.
To take him because it was his turn.
Okay, but Keith, I got to cut it a little short, and I can't go on on this, but I'm just going to say this, and I think you'll agree. I've said this when it comes to the hiring and firings of in baseball, whether it's the manager or whether it is in football with the coaching staffs. I don't care who it is. hire the best qualified person for the job. Hire the person regardless of their skin color or their ethnicity, for the best person that can lead the business and or the team, whatever, to better business and better world championships. I'm sick and tired of quota systems and forced hiring of certain individuals on their skin color. It's asinine, it's stupid, and it should have never happened.
Let me say one more thing about this Twin Falls thing. If they don't want it to turn into Minnesota, they better watch their back.
And I can concur with that. I really can. I agree with you. Have a good day, my friend, please.
Bye.
All right, see you later. Thanks, Keith. Hey, don't forget our dear friends, Nick Greenwell and the entire staff of great physical therapists over at Berkley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Berkley. Oh, if you've got a little ache in the back, bunky, or maybe you had some surgery on your arm or your shoulder or whatever, and you're just not where you should be, you better get in there. They can help you at 678-1191, the number to call. And remember, they've got the only hydrotherapy pool in the area. I've been in there, and it works. Let me tell you, you better check it out today. Call for an appointment at 678-1191. Berkley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, helping you get back to being you. Absolutely. Oh, and two, we'll take some calls. Come on, give me a jingle. I want to remind you that Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. That's right. All you have to do is call, and there's 3 different numbers. 3 different people to get in touch with, and they're looking for retired folks and filling full and part-time positions. You're home every night and using new and maintained equipment. They've got great vacation schedules and benefit programs. Call Dale and Paul at 438-8886, Alan in Twin Falls at 731-2495, and Russ in Berkley at 431-7175. Ag Express looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. All right, your turn. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yesterday, excuse me for the frog in my throat and the cough, hay fever season, I apologize for that. Yesterday, we talked extensively, as did other shows around the United States. I think I was one of the first ones to talk about this story. And about the $425 jeans that are being sold at Nordstrom's. And they are muddy. They are filthy looking. They are stained. And there is even a jacket for another $425, a denim jacket in the same state of disarray. And so there you go. For $850, you can look like an entire slob. This is ridiculous. $850. You can look like you just jumped out of a pigsty. But you know, there's underlying reasons about this. And I was reading an article, and I'm going to try to get this gentleman on my program. Doug Giles is his name. And he has a book out called The Effemination of the American Male. And I think he's spot on to something. He brought up some really interesting facts that a large number of millennial males do not consider themselves adults until after age 30. That just blew my mind. 30. At 30 years of age, I had 2 children. I had all the responsibilities in the world that I had to take care of. And at age 30, they don't consider themselves hardly adults yet. And here's something else. There are more 18 to 34-year-old males now living with their parents than they are with spouses. Let me say that again. There are more 18 to 34-year-old males now living with their parents more than with wives and spouses. And this one really got to me, that millennials suffer more phobias and anxieties twice as much as their parents did. We're raising a complete generation of wussies. They don't go out and work. They don't get their hands dirty. I'm not saying all numbers. Now, don't you dare call me up and say, well, my boy or my daughter is not like that. I know your boy or your daughter is maybe not like that. We live in an area where kids learn to work at an early age. God bless them, because we live in an agricultural community. And we've had many of these sharp millennials on my program. But the numbers across the board are increasing to where we're raising a generation of worthless, whining wussies. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, kind sir. Sounds like it's time to rechange the age of voting and drinking and a lot of things like that then.
All right. I like your idea. I like where you're headed. What would you change it to?
I'd change it to 30.
Okay.
I guess if 18 to 34-year-olds don't feel like they're competent, then they probably shouldn't vote, and they probably shouldn't be allowed to drink alcohol, and probably several of those privileges.
Now, wait a minute, sir. I got to ask you this. Now, do you have children?
Yes.
How old are they?
They fit right in that 18 to 34 category.
Okay. Are you worried about them being wussies or these little snowflakes? Or tell me a little bit about them.
No, they're actually fabulous kids and real asset to society, and have made good choices. And actually, I can't say that that's because I was a good example, unfortunately, but they are great members of society, and I'm very pleased to be able to say that I'm affiliated with them.
All right. Now, that being said, and I want you to be honest about this, television and the news media in general, I think, has let that generation, the millennial generation, I'm talking 18 to 34, 18 to 36, right in that area, I honestly believe they have nurtured and endeared the thought that men can act just like wusses and not do anything. Would you agree with me on that assessment?
I would, yeah, I would. It's really, really surprising, just like with what you got going on at Fox News now. They're one of the few that reported some factual stories. So it's really frustrating. But I think not only them, but I think justice, education, all of those areas have failed our children.
What does it tell you as a father and as a person that's raised your family that they can go to the store, they being the millennial male right now, and they can buy a pair of jeans and a denim jacket to match? Both of them are soiled and stained with fake mud stains and everything for $850, and then they can go out and tell everybody and show everybody, oh yeah, I really portray hard work.
That's a pretty interesting plot. It kind of blows my mind, but I'm off duck. There's no question about it, because I don't feel like people that have been serving in a county, city, or state or federal paid position, if they've been doing that longer than 10 years, I consider them a parasite, not an asset.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your call, and call me again, sir. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
You know, I want to continue this, and I want to talk about some guys in the media, some guys in the movie and TV business that they weren't wusses by any shape of the imagination. We'll talk about that in a moment and take some more of your calls. Hey, don't forget our dear friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jason. How you doing? They're getting closer and closer to the end of their great big April 30th. It's going to end. Don't miss it. No tax plan sale. You better get in there today and check out the wonderful, great buys on all the flooring and all the carpet and the bedroom sets and the living room sets and the great array of all the different recliners. Oh, sit in one and love one and take one home. You're going to love it at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. No money down, no interest for 12 months on approved credit. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Berkeley. And real quick, too, don't forget that our dear friend, the doctor of audiology, and that is, of course, Dr. waiting to see you, Christine Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Christine is going to have a seminar tomorrow. It's going to be at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce at 1177 7th Street in Hayburn, and seating is limited, so you must RSVP, and it's going to be a great seminar on brain hearing and technology, and lunch will be provided. You better check that out tomorrow, and it starts at 12 noon at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with our dear friend, and that's, of course, Dr. Christine Pickup. You be sure and call 312-0957. There you go. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, when you think back into our day of growing up, now I'm a little long in the tooth and gray of the hair and the mustache and everything, but I was doing some research on some people that fell into different maybe acting roles or government jobs or whatever because of certain contacts, etc. But they were real guys. You know, they were the macho guys. Think about the Lee Marvins. Lee Marvin, movie star, but also war hero. Think about the Steve McQueens. Think about the Tom Sellecks. Think about the Robert Mitchums. And so many more that grew up, went to the School of Hard Knocks, had to really find out where they were going to buy the butter to put on the bread, served our country, and they got into the media. And now, today, when you turn on the TV or go to a movie, I'm embarrassed at what they portray on the big and little screen. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. Hey, it's Funny Bill. Hey, but those were just actors.
What was that again, sir?
They were just actors. They just acted that way.
Well, wait a minute. I think you're wrong. You say they acted what way?
I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
Hey, listen, it's funny because this morning I just had a run-in with my 15-year-old and my 10-year-old daughter, 15-year-old boy. I've got this thing in my house that I've been telling, and the reason I'm telling you this, and the world this, hopefully we can start this on a grassroots level, because what's happened is I think the parents have not taught their children what a man is and what a woman is. In my house, I've got 5 children. I've taught them that a man is someone that takes full responsibility for themselves and their family, and a young woman is a lady that takes full responsibility for themselves and their family. Now, in doing that, I set up a program of, I don't want to do the dishes all the time, and I don't think my wife should do the dishes all the time. So I've set it up that each kid gets 1 day of the week, and now they're the manager on getting the job done.
Good.
And so they can spin a bottle, they can ask for volunteers, they can pull numbers out of a hat, I don't care. But they're taking responsibilities for getting all those dishes done, wash, clean, the counters done, the floors vacuumed, the living room vacuumed, everything's cleaned up. And they are not to leave and get on the bus until their bed is made and their room is clean. That's a responsible young man and young woman. And I had a problem this morning, so I said, guys, the day of being a toddler is over. You're 15 and 10. You're staying home until your room is completely clean. And I think that's where the basics starts. And we got to start over again, and we got to start telling these people what young men and young women are. Gays and lesbians are not young women and young men. They're people that are not taking responsibility and making deliberate choices. Well, maybe they're making deliberate choices, but they're the wrong deliberate choices, because God didn't make Adam and Steve.
You know, I have listened to you, and I absolutely appreciate, underline that word, what you said. And especially when it came to the bringing up of your children with the word that you used on 5 or 6 different times, responsibility. God bless you for the way you're handling your situation. I wish more parents would be like that. Everybody,
get it out there, and let's be affirmative, and let's talk up what a real young man and a real young woman is. Maybe we can spread this across the world and wake people up and give them responsibility. That's what I appreciate so much about Donald Trump. He's given his children responsibility, whether they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth or not. They're still taking on responsibilities, young men and young women, and having a say-so in life.
Boy, you call me again, sir. You're welcome anytime. I'm going to put you up on a pedestal. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, sir. Thank you. I really appreciated that man's thoughts. In today's age, caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. But in today's age, you know, of this unisex attitude and the terrible and very, very dangerous LGBT movement that's going on in this country, especially with the transgenders and all their sick, perverted ways, it's refreshing to hear that last parent. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Minicash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Berkley, right across from the airport. And they bring you on Tuesdays Dr. History at 10:06. Don't forget, I'll tell you, they've got the best of all your metal and shingle roofing and all the Western windows and all the sizes that'll fit in your home, along with all the doors and that beautiful luxury vinyl planking. All of this, Zach can help you and the rest of the crew at Minicash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Berkley, right across from the airport. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you brought this subject up. We've got a generation coming up that are being programmed that they cannot think for themselves and they have to be led. So the next thing you know, they're being led by people like Chuck Schumer and all that bunch of people there, and this is what the problem is.
Well, Tony,
they're being taught that they can't stand on their own 2 feet.
Yeah, that's right. That last gentleman that called hit the nail right on the proverbial head when he said he's showing them and leading them how they should be, how they should act, how they should grow up, what they need to do to be responsible. And you know what? I think that's the key to the whole program. It's so simple. There's different roles to play in life. You've got the male role and the female role, and that's what's made this country and, quite frankly, civilized society so great for all these years, and we've got away from that.
Well, this is the kind of stuff that's being taught in school. You know, from the time they're little kids, oh, you cannot bleed, you don't know what's going on out there, and we have to tell you what to do. And by the time they're 20 years old, they're so confused, they'll fall for anything.
Yeah, that is really the truth. That old Aaron Tippett song, if you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and that's what's happening in our society today. You and that last caller are spot on. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless you.
Keep on going. You got a hell of a show going.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much, Tony. Responsibility and leading and guiding as to what really they should be. This mindset of, oh, well, they can be whatever they want to be. And then I was absolutely pathetically inclined to tear the paint off the wall here about a month and a half, 2 months ago, when I heard this mother say, well, my little son doesn't want to be a son anymore. He wants to be a little girl. And so we're considering providing a sex change for our little boy. Those parents should be arrested and thrown in jail is what they should be. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, too, Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Oh, my goodness sakes, the best serving you. You know, if you haven't taken the time to put in a sprinkler system, now's the time to give them a call and get them to work. Let me tell you, they can do the job. They've done it for us over here. And if you have a sprinkler system that needs to be repaired, you better call them today. 438-2485. Scott Gano Landscaping landscaping and sprinkler service. And you notice the word landscaping. Now's the time to get a hold of them for landscaping ideas to get done for this summer. Call them, Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 438-2485. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. I agree with all of the callers and the comments that have been made and the points that you have brought up. In training our children when they're young, as a mother, we like to put them on a schedule. And, you know, their time was documented so that they had time for chores, they had time for study, they had time for all fulfilling the responsibilities in this family and helping with those things. And we had TV and things like that, but it's still it was scheduled in of when the time was right. And one of the things that you mentioned was how the TV and movies and all of these things have affected our children today. And it's no doubt that our children and our teenagers are out there trying to survive in a sewer. They're swimming in a sewer.
You know,
one of the things that's really contributing is the gaming. And I think it is so dangerous for these children and even older adults into age 30 and above, because it's dumbing them down and it's consuming all of their time. And it even has an addictive nature.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know of a couple of young men. One of them has a job, but one of them doesn't. But they get together in a group and they've got 4 TVs downstairs.
Yeah.
And they stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and have other friends, and they do this group game playing thing. And then they sleep in. They don't get up till noon, 1, and that's their routine and has been for months. And it's very, very sad, but we need to really watch how we train our children and how they spend their time.
I'm going to be very rude when I say this and ask this question, so please do not get mad at me. But I don't know if you are of my generation or not. All you have to do is say yes or no. I am of the 68, 69-year-olds. And are you close to my generation or quite a bit younger?
I am a little bit younger.
Okay.
But, I'm watching some of my nephews.
Well,
I'm the oldest in my family.
Would you agree with me?
Concerning of how some of these young men and young women are spending their time with such an addictive, time-robbing behavior as gaming.
I agree with you 1,000%.
So engrossed in it. And there's not good things. I mean, there's all kinds of games out there that are desensitizing these people that involve in that.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't... The desensitizing is a huge thing in what's going on in our nation now.
You know, let me just quickly say this. Gone are the days. Gone are the days of television shows that you could relate to a good, bad, and solve the problem TV show. And when I say that, now you're looking at the LGBT issues that are prominent on the TV. You're looking at a lot of filth that even... I'm 69 years old, my dear lady, and I'm embarrassed if I even turn that stuff on in my house. I won't do it. It's garbage, and it's like you said, it's like swimming in the sewer.
Exactly. And that's what these young kids that are just starting into grade school and kindergarten, we have a real responsibility to try and turn it around so they have half of a chance of surviving.
Very well stated.
Situation.
Very well stated. God bless you for your call. Please have a good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice lady. Very, very sharp. Her comment that we're swimming in a sewer is absolutely the correct way to put it. Caller, I'm going to ask you if you can just stay with me a minute because I've got to get a weather forecast on here. Please do not go away. Do not pass go. Do not give up your $200. Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care at 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin. And Jerome Urgent Care at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies. Oh, my goodness. Major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. And they're open 7 days a week to serve you and your family. The Urgent Cares. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Typical spring day here in the Magic Valley, and this is what the weather forecast is for the rest of the week. We are expecting some rain showers for today, about an 80% chance. plus still on the breezy side, winds out of the southwest right around 15 to 25 miles an hour. Thunderstorms possible for this afternoon. High of 48, tonight low of 35. Tomorrow the wind's really going to be picking up out of the west right around 30 miles an hour. Gusts possible 45 plus, so we could be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. High of 47 with an overnight low of 31. Then for Friday, looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 51 and mostly sunny and close to 60 for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, she does a great job. Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland in Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin. Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Absolutely serving you and your family. Minor emergencies, major care. You be sure and stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your patience.
Hey, Zeb, last night I went to the school board is having an election, and we were there, and a few of us were there. It was pretty good. The same people that are involved with lots of things that care. And one of the candidates got up and said, well, we need more involvement. And let's face it, when parents don't monitor what their children are being taught, monitor what their children are learning, whether or not it's from school or some other heinous place, then we are suffering because of the irresponsibility of parents, wherever that may be. Now, You say, well, Burley's not so bad. Well, I can show you lots of examples where it would frighten you to death. And see, I don't know how we recover it. How do you do that? When the parents are lost and the children are being lost, what do we do? How do we do it? The people that have just called in and said what they should do, well, gee, those are great examples. But no, think of the people that aren't listening and that it couldn't care less about what these good people are doing with their children. But these people are still here. The ones that are irresponsible parents and their children, they are dumbing down, diluting our society. And it's last night at this school board election meeting, the place should have been full. It wasn't. And you see, I do not know what you do to get people to care about themselves and their children.
The point you're bringing up, I mean, we could spend every program of every day of every week trying to discern and decide and come up with some kind of an answer to the various problems that are presented. All I'll go back to, Randy, and this is very, very simplistic, but we've got to get back to personal responsibility. If you want to be a mom or a dad, you've got responsibilities for that job. You've got responsibility of raising those kids. You've got responsibility of raising them in the way where they can be contributing adults. It goes back to the word responsibility, and that's something that needs to be knocked into the noggins of a lot of so-called parents.
Oh, man. I had 11 kids, and I'm going to tell you, I had some sons that were very headstrong. And at times I thought, man, where is this going to end up? And then one day I got a text saying, I'm so grateful that you were my father, that I'm seeing myself in you. And I says, you know what? Every day I make mistakes. I admit them to my children, to my Heavenly Father, and I repent. And I say to myself, you know what? My children see me as doing my best and loving them, and that's the best I can do.
Absolutely. God bless you, my friend. Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. That's right, that personal responsibility, but the curriculums in our school is just teaching socialism and globalism, and the phones that, parents are giving their kids phones at an early age and tablets and so forth, and they're not going to learn anything about the great history that made this country great. The free enterprise system is not being taught. The Constitution's not being taught very effectively. And so, we're a product of the environment, but you've got to be as far as be active with those children in the school and support their activities, but find out what they're being taught. That wasn't so much a problem with your generation and mine. But even back then, we were being taught too much about socialism and not enough about the Constitution, and that goes back a long ways, Deb.
I agree with you.
So this is not a new movement. This started really about over 100 years ago.
No, I totally agree with you.
Over education, John Dewey, the socialist, he wanted everybody to be right-handed, and the socialism indoctrination of our children is just absolutely criminal. And we can see it with the parents of the children today.
I agree.
That's why they're really stuck out there.
I agree with your thoughts and comments this morning. I got some other calls to get in, but I want to go back to your points in a few moments, and I appreciate it. God bless you, Adrian. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I tell you, we need to be involved with the kids and be supportive of their activities. My parents were a good example to me, and they followed me around in southeast Wyoming to basketball games for 6 years.
Amen.
Junior high through high school. And the weather there's like it is here this past winter every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good day.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about what Randy had to say. He was right on. Why wasn't that meeting full of parents? Because that's what's wrong with our schools.
I agree with you, and
They're not being taught anything.
I agree with you, and let me tell you this much. It was really sad, and I'm not going to mention the person's name that said this to me without her permission. But, when you have a parent-teachers conference and you literally have to beg for parents to go to the school and find out how the kids are, let me tell you something. That's changed a lot from my day. I can remember vividly in my mind when I knew there was going to be a parent-teachers conference, I broke down in a cold sweat because I knew Mom and Dad were going to go talk to the teachers, and I knew that yours truly might have a hard time sitting down for a couple of days.
Yeah, that's what needs to happen. I mean, the curriculum has to be changed to teach them instead of indoctrinate.
I totally agree with that. Teach instead of indoctrinate. Thank you, sir. God bless you. I got another call waiting. Thank you so much. Hey, caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and they're offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems that can keep your home feeling perfect inside. Call them today, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox at 678-0459. Caller, I've got about a minute and a half. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Clarence. I'd like to make a comment on parents at school. I drive a school bus, and there's so many times we pulled in to load or unload kids, and we've got cars parked in the loading and unloading zone of parents picking kids up. Now, there's a sign on both ends of that says, buses only. What kind of a message are these parents sending to these kids? You don't have to read, or you don't have to follow the rules.
Well, let me ask you a question, Clarence. If it's clearly marked that it is for buses only, why hasn't the school administration made sure that anybody that tries to drive in there with their SUV or whatever, they just tell them very politely, turn around and park someplace else?
Yeah, we've got some that do that, and we've got some that actually they encourage them to park out there. I can't believe the difference between the different schools.
Why would they encourage somebody to park where it might be hazardous to the children's welfare, leaving the buses and walking around through the buses? Why would they encourage some nincompoop to park his car and possibly hit a child in an area that's marked for buses only?
I have no idea, but I know that's part of what the problem is they got over there. And then another beef of mine, when you go to these homes, is I have never met anybody that owns a smartphone that is very smart. I mean, they're stupid. They you can't have a conversation with them. They're busy clicking away on that thing and reading.
Yeah.
You can't sit down and have dinner with them because they're busy clicking and looking at that phone. And then when you ask them a question, just a minute, I'll look it up.
I agree with you. Clarence, I'm running a little late on time getting into the news, but God bless you. Call me more often. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, sir. Good man. And he brings up some really good points right there, too. Hey, don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations doing the right thing matters all the time, every time, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with a big spring tire sale. Oh, all the tires, all the different tread designs, all the different sizes for your cars, SUVs, pickups, horse trailers, boat trailers. Oh, yeah. They're waiting for you right now. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Best in brake service, shocks and struts, front end alignments, batteries, all of this and more. Doing the right thing matters at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run to the news. Coming up next, I'll be back at 9:06. Don't go away. Oh, and away we go. Hour number 2 on this Wednesday, April 26th already. Administrative Professionals Day. Don't forget, bosses. Years ago, it used to be called Secretary's Day, but today it's Administrative Professionals Day. Buy them chocolates, flowers, take them to lunch, show them you appreciate them. Yes, Deanne. We'll go out to eat later. Thank you. Zeb at the Ranch, and this is Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and of course they've got a big spring tire sale going on right now. And also some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
So many things to talk about, so many things you need to know about Western Waste Services. They've got the Go Mini storage units, and they've got the dumpsters in the various sizes. They can drop one off at your place. You can fill it up and then call them and get rid of all your garbage. You can get on the route service. I mean, my goodness, if you got an outdoor event, the porta potties. The list goes on and on. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Really great people. Hey, by the way, every Monday at 9:16, as I almost cracked the microphone open with this, pardon me for that slam, Vicky's Country Garden brings you a program called Gardening for Idiots, named after me, on Mondays at 9:16 to help you with your garden growing. And, of course, Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. 20 years in business. They know what they're talking about. Believe me. Vicky's Country Garden over in Paul. Don't you forget that. Before we go to our guest, I also want to say thank you very much to some very, very nice people that are serving perhaps members of your family, and that's Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. And they at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center make every effort they can to make Autumn Haven the best place. And they invite the public to stop by their facility anytime for tours and to just look around and check them out. People that really care about other people. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Don't forget, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, and the number to call, 436-3200. And one, yes?
Oh, I apologize. I was just going to let you know, I've been trying to reach Dave Bigo for you.
Yeah.
But when I go to call, it immediately picks up, but it gives me like a busy tone or a dead tone.
What number are you dialing?
The 1-317-813.
Did we reverse the numbers? Is it 813-317? You might try that. Deanne, help, please. We need to get hold of Bigo.
Do that.
Yeah, try that. Reverse those first three numbers, or two sets of numbers. Okay. Whatever, just reverse them. Hey, don't forget, too, Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Heyburn. And the number to call, 678-1177. They have asked me to stress the fact that right now, parvovirus, a highly contagious viral infection, spread from dog to dog to dog to dog. Well, you better make sure that your dogs and puppies are all vaccinated. It is very potentially fatal. And please make sure that your dogs are vaccinated for the parvovirus. Get a hold of our friends at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Number to call, 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital. Let's check back with Wheels and see if we've got anybody on the line.
I don't. I even reverse those numbers like you said, and it still comes up with the same busy or dead tone.
Deanne's checking it out. What do you got, Deanne? 317-813-1492. Is that what you tried?
Yes, sir.
Try it again, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Evidently a little trouble trying to get through to Dave Bigo this morning. And in some other news of interest while we're waiting, President Trump is going, and he is today, as a matter of fact, inviting all the members of the Senate to the White House for a great big information meeting on North Korea. So 100 senators are going to be sitting there listening to not only Donald Trump, but also his staff and also his military leadership on the problem with North Korea. And I am very interested as to what the outcome of this meeting is going to be, and we'll probably know more about this at about maybe 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. Let's check back with Wheels and see if that did any good.
I still haven't gotten anything yet, sir, but I'm also having Gina in here kind of help me to see if maybe we can try to troubleshoot the phones.
Okay, good. I hope there's nothing wrong. He's waiting for the call, he says, on his email. Deanne, try to get him on the landline here, if you would, quickly, real fast. And Wheels do the same. Something evidently must be wrong with our phone system over at the station. I gave him the number. Okay, the number to call is 813-317 and 1492. So, Wheels, keep trying, please, if you would.
Yes, sir.
All right. Once again, waiting for the call to go through to Dave Bigo, and I hear Gina in the background over there as they're trying to figure out what the problem is. So, Hanson Mortuary with our dear friend Joel Heward and his staff, and they're located at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call them and get more information, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, serving you and your family always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please don't forget, in a time of an emergency, in the time of a passing of a loved one, they are there to help and serve you. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Yes, Wheels, go ahead.
I have him on the phone now for you.
Good. What happened to us this morning? We couldn't reach you with our smoke signal.
That's because you're too far away for smoke.
Oh, I never have figured it out in those old TV westerns, Dave Bigo, back in Indianapolis, Indiana. They'd sit up there with a great big blanket, and they'd cover the smoke for a split second, and then they'd send out a great big billowy puff. Are you, in your great business mind, are you able to read smoke signals?
Yeah, it just depends on what it is. But I don't know why you guys couldn't get through.
I have no idea.
I hope he's calling the normal number.
Abnormal or normal, we'll try it. Anyway, well, let's get right to the situation at hand. I want you to discuss a little bit about what this ongoing problem, which is going to come to a head tomorrow at Berkley, and that's with Ann Coulter delivering a speech. And what are your thoughts about what's taking place here?
No, I think it's Zeb. It's the far left. It's more of their movement to undermine this country and brainwash people and divide the country and bring it down. And that's simply what it is.
You know, Ann Coulter, is, I don't think, going to back up on this thing, nor should she. She had a speaking engagement contract for tomorrow, April 27th, and then the liberalization of that campus and the thugs and the punks of the liberal left, they have made threats, said they're going to do this, that, and the other. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. Maybe you're not as straightforward as I am on solving this problem, but I think the police should be there with billy clubs and use them if violence is against Ann Coulter. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the police should be, if there's any violence, I think people should be detained and arrested and held responsible for it. I mean, that's what we got to start doing in this country, because this stuff's being done on purpose. And Zeb, as I've talked before, these people are being paid behind the scenes cash to do these type of things, and their minds are being filled with all this garbage and misinformation and lies. And we're going to see more of it on May 1st, May Day, because especially out west in Washington, Oregon, and California, and some of those areas, they're already gearing up for big riots and other things out there against the American capitalism and free markets, and a lot of this is going through a communist website.
Yeah. You know, when you say that May 1st and the May Day mobs and the absolute insurrection and everything, are we going to cure this problem? Are we going to be able to turn this thing around with cooler heads prevailing, or are the George Soroses and the Tom Steyers and all their multi-millions, are they going to keep feeding this absolute filth into our society?
Well, yeah, and the SEIU, which is big behind it, because they're arm in arm with Soros, and so their tactics, like I've said before, the tactics they use against me are the same tactics that are being used against this country and President Trump. And it's time that the Republican Party got some backbone and stood up and started exposing these people. And I don't know if you know, Zeb, but I even mentioned Donald Trump in my book, The Devil at Our Doorstep. Mm-hmm. And back then, when it came out in 2012, I made a comment that they were going after Obama and about, he didn't really have a diploma, or, his birth certificate's not valid and all that kind of stuff. Instead of going after stuff like that, what they really need to do is stand up and expose their lies and misinformation that's being spread to the American people, and wake up the American people. Because what I found out when I did that kind of stuff, people woke up.
Dave, let me ask you, you mentioned the SEIU, and no one, in my opinion, after reading both of your books, knows more about how devious and how scheming and how dangerous the SEIU can be. Did they employ a lot of people to be their thugs and their punks and act under their namesake?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when they did the rallies and that against us, they pay people cash to do that, and they brought other people in. I think I've mentioned on the show before, they got clergy people to come in and go against me and badmouth me and go and talk to my customers about how bad a person I was, and the press and everybody and politicians. This is what they do. These are their tactics. But what I found out is when you stand up and expose what they're saying are all lies, and I mean really put it out there in front of everybody, they tend to back down.
Yeah, but you, and I want to make this in perspective, you were the kind of a guy, a big guy in stature and also for your business. You stood up and fought back, but certainly you weren't a one-man army. Were there others that also chimed in with you in support of you so that you weren't just casting a single shadow?
Actually, all the other major cleaning companies in the country signed off bowed down to the SEIU and signed their neutrality agreement to force unionize people. There's only one or two other companies that I know of that fought back, And, the majority of people didn't. And that's what I'm talking about. We need backbone in this country, and we need people to stand up. We've got the same good thing going on in the Republican Party. Too many of them won't stand up to what's going on and do something about it because they're afraid of, the consequences of, elections and votes and things like that. And what they need to understand is if they go out and they do the right thing and they're honest and they really expose the truth, people will get behind them.
Yeah. Yeah. But now, and we've known each other now for a couple of years, and I've got the utmost respect for you, but was there ever a time when you were fighting the SEIU and really climbing up a mountain backwards, crawling, if you will, because you're fighting some pretty big dudes and a big organization? Was there ever a time that maybe your family or maybe your close associates or whatever said, Dave, look, give in, you can't beat them? Was there ever a time you thought about just throwing your hands up in the air?
No, not really, Zeb. It's not my nature, and actually, my employees and family were behind me on the thing the whole way because they saw what was going on too, and they didn't like it. And I think that it's served us well because we try to do the right things, and it's like today is. Women's Workers' Day or something here, and we gave all of our ladies working in the office here, we gave them baskets with goodies in them today, and the responses we got back from was it's so great to work for a company like EMS, and I say that because we try to do the right thing. Are we perfect? No,
Absolutely.
Nobody's perfect. But we try to do the right things.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. You remembered. I mean, I was by the scare, just really the hair on my chinny chin chin this morning. I almost forgot it, that it is Business Administrative Professionals Day, and so that means that I'm taking my lovely bride out to eat later on. I want the world to know that I remembered, David.
It's great. It's great what we did for our employees here, and they really get a kick out of it. And but to me, that's the way you have to be. And and when you do things like that, and then you're faced with things like we were faced with the SEIU, people really get behind you.
I agree. Dave, I want to shift to another story right now, one that maybe I'm putting more danger into it than what it really is, but I don't think so, and that's North Korea. This little fat dictator that could also double as the Michelin tire boy absolutely is starting to scare the world with his threats, his very ominous threats that no matter when on the timetable he's going to launch a missile, a nuclear missile, for our West Coast and try to obliterate the United States of America. A lot of this might be blither and blather on his part, but I personally think, and I'm a little bit more pugnacious than most, we've got to take him out. What do you think about this North Korean situation?
Well, I think it's dangerous, and I think this guy is, he's obviously got some mental problems that he thinks he can go up against our country, and I think we need to wake him up. And I think Trump will here pretty soon. I think he's putting things in places, and he's put the United States military in charge of it, and I think we'll see a wake-up call to him pretty soon.
One of the things that Donald Trump did, and I think the overall media glossed over this, and the CNNs and the ABC, CBSs, and NBCs weren't smart enough to really look into it, but his incorporation of getting China on his side without really making it look like they'd had any kind of a liaison. What are your thoughts about the way that he's informed Japan, South Korea, and also the big one over there, China, in regards to North Korea?
Well, I think he understands that you have to go out and you got to talk to people, and you got to negotiate, and you got to work with them. And as I say in my business all the time, people ask me what are some of the things that you feel cause you to be successful. And one of the biggest ones is developing relationships, because when you develop relationships, even if it's with people who don't agree with you on things, you find ways to work through them and get things fixed. And I think Trump's good at that.
I do, too. Today, as a matter of fact, I think the meeting is going on right now, as a matter of fact and timing. The all 100 senators, and I hope they all have the decency and professionalism to show up, are supposed to be meeting at the White House with the president over this North Korean situation. I think that also shows a lot of leadership on Trump's part by doing this. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got to get people together. You can't have a divided house. Like I say, even if it's with people that you don't necessarily agree with everything on, like the politics of this thing. Whether it's in business or anything, you have to figure out how to get people together and develop a relationship that will allow you to make progress and move forward. And it may not be exactly the way you want it, but if you achieve your ultimate goal, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Now, Dave, as a businessman, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of people all over the area, not only in Indiana, but other places that you venture, what is a general thought from the business people? I know that I've listened to various interviews from people that own restaurants, people that own factories, people that own various agricultural outlets. What are your thoughts? Because they're all saying, good for Donald Trump. We feel like we're going to go someplace. What are you hearing back there?
No, for the most part, you're hearing the same thing. But, obviously in the media, they're trying to find ways to bring Trump down and ostracize him and all that kind of stuff. But I think if he continues along his path and he gets people involved in that, because you can't get things done in Washington if you've got a divided hallway all the time. You got to get people to reach across the aisle and work together. And again, that's true in anything in life. And, I think he'll continue to move forward. But again, Zeb, they're going to keep coming after him because the ultimate goal is to get him impeached and bring down this country. And they want us to be a communist, socialist country.
I agree.
That's what the far left wants. They're using Alinsky-style tactics just like the SEIU used against me.
I totally agree with you. Now, this story is kind of what you might say the most ironic twist that you have ever heard in your life. Did you hear that 3 ISIS terrorists were killed over in Afghanistan because they died from being eaten by wild pigs? Now, isn't that total irony?
I had not heard that story. That's interesting.
True story, I swear. Hey, the Cubs are back in first place where they belong. I felt sorry for your Indiana Pacers. I really wanted them to win, but life goes on in the world of sports. And any comments on sports this morning before I wrap it up?
Well, yeah, I was hoping you'd bring that up because I actually played golf yesterday. I play with a group of guys once a month, and we play, and then we have dinner afterwards together. And unfortunately, I was corralled and had to sit in a golf cart all day next to a guy that had a golf shirt on with a Chicago Cubs logo on it.
Well, what's wrong with that? At least it shows high class.
I just had to give you a hard time.
All right, buddy.
I told the guy yesterday, I said, I'm going to be on the Zeb Bell show tomorrow, and he is a huge Cubs fan, and like you are, and I'm going to give him a hard time about having to sit next to you all day.
I think that man should call into my program, and we'll give him the key to the city of Murtaugh. There's not much here, but we'll still give him the key.
Yep. We had a good time yesterday, but I had to give you a hard time and joke about it today.
All right, my dear friend.
The Cubs are doing well, though.
Oh, they are. God bless you, Dave Bego, back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Sorry that we had a little phone problem. I don't know why, but we got you on the air. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, you guys have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you. One of my dear, dear friends, and that's Dave Bego back in Indianapolis. Thank you for being on the program. Hey, by the way, don't forget, this is important, that Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,700 rebates on qualified new Lennox home comfort systems. Keep your home feeling perfect inside no matter what's happening outside. Holy smokes, it's getting ugly here. It's starting to rain again. And all you need to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 208-678-0459, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. By the way, I got to give a lot of credit this morning, and I hope they're listening because I want to pay special credit to Let's Ride, Nick, and the whole staff. We had some problems that we needed to get taken care of, and, man, you talk about sending a guy over, helping us with the problems, and loaded them all up and took our bikes in for service. Let's Ride went the extra mile, literally, or miles, in helping us, and I really appreciate it. Nick, thank you very much. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And if you haven't got your four-wheeler serviced yet so you can get up in the hills and just enjoy all of great Idaho nature, do it today. Call them and make an appointment at 436-4771. And if you're new to that fun, they've got all the four-wheelers, they got all the side-by-sides. Oh, go in that showroom and just look. I mean, man, they've got something for you. Let's Ride. Service department and great accessories. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Absolutely. And also in that area, some very, very dear friends of mine. And that's the folks over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You know, you call them over there at 436-4424, and you say what you need and what you're looking for or how they can help you. Man, they're there. And you talk about devoted to serving others, they are. When it comes to life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all you have to do is just call the number, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Let's go to the phone line right now. And with us from the Pacific Legal Foundation, Mr. Wen Fa, staff attorney. Good morning, Wen. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I was on your show a few weeks ago, and you said you had me back. So I'm glad to be back so soon.
Well, I'm glad to have you. And this morning we're going to be talking about butter. My goodness, how in the world can an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation get involved in a great big churning butter story?
Well, actually, Pacific Legal Foundation and its attorneys represent entrepreneurs across the United States all the time, and in this case it's no different. We're representing Adam Mueller, who's the co-president of Minerva Dairy, which is a dairy based in Ohio, and it's actually America's oldest family-owned cheese and butter dairy. They've been operating actually since the Grover Cleveland administration, and they've been selling their butter, their artisanal butter, in Wisconsin since the 1980s. But just recently, in February, Wisconsin bureaucrats told Adam Mueller that he can no longer sell his butter to Wisconsin consumers. And that's because Wisconsin is now the only state in the entire nation that requires butter to be graded in order to be sold in the state. Now, let me be clear about one thing. Grading has nothing to do with health and safety. There's also a process of butter inspection, and Adam Mueller gets all of his butter at Minerva Dairy inspected. Grading is simply a marketing tool. And what this is, it's a blatant attempt by Wisconsin bureaucrats to benefit in-state and large butter makers at the expense of out-of-state and small butter makers. And that's just not right, and that's just not constitutional, and that's why Pacific Legal Foundation is mounting a constitutional challenge.
Okay, now let's kind of break this down a little bit. And when you're going to have to bear with me if I sound a little prejudiced, because Wisconsin, America's dairyland, is my old home state. That's where I was born and raised. But it sounds to me like Wisconsin doesn't want any other products coming in. They're trying to be protectionist for their own homegrown products, and they're kind of closing the door on any competition. Is that what it is?
That's absolutely what it is. And, you know, nothing stops Wisconsin consumers from buying Wisconsin products, and they should buy Wisconsin products if those products are, in fact, superior. But the Constitution especially the Dormant Commerce Clause, what's called the Dormant Commerce Clause, says that if you live in America, you should be able to take advantage of the American marketplace. So, in essence, Wisconsin has no right to say, well, because you live in Wisconsin, you shouldn't be able to have access to products from Florida or Minnesota or Ohio. And that's exactly, and that's another reason why this case is wrong. It doesn't just hurt out-of-state entrepreneurs, but in reality, it hurts Wisconsin consumers. If you still lived in Wisconsin, how does it make any sense for you not to be able to buy out-of-state products if they are, in fact, superior?
Yeah. Okay, now let's talk about the butter. Or is the butter better? Or is the butter not better to be butter that they want to sell as butter in the state of Wisconsin and or Ohio? How do you go about testing it or grading it? I don't understand that.
Right. Well, the grading system, we actually researched this extensively before we filed our complaint last week. And it's actually a very, very complicated process. Basically, you're supposed to have a state-licensed bureaucrat come to your butter facility to test the butter, and they have something like over 20 different categories. They have things like, oh, does the butter taste bitter? Does it taste pleasing or simply fairly pleasing? And what is the degree of how pleasing it is? Is it high, moderate, low? It's actually it's a very complicated system, and it's a system that, frankly, I don't think anybody is able to fairly judge on a consistent basis.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa.
Another reason that Adam Mueller is bringing this lawsuit because, as I said earlier, he sells an artisanal butter. Most of these butter graders, under the tasting standards, prefer commodity butters. And what I mean by that is butter that is kind of sold by large manufacturers, those who can actually afford to pay for the butter graders to come on site and basically live around their property. But Adam Mueller can't afford that. He's a small butter maker, and he makes a different kind of butter with a different kind of taste. And he says he doesn't want his butter graded because he doesn't want the connotation that his butter is commodity butter. He thinks his butter is better, and he thinks that he should be able to compete freely in the Wisconsin market.
All right, wait a minute. When, 1,000 questions are going through my mind right now. So there are actually people that are professional butter grader tasters, correct? Yes.
They are licensed by the state. There are USDA butter graders, but, USDA, under the United States Department of Agriculture laws, the butter grading is just optional. It's an optional marketing tool. It's not mandatory. In Wisconsin, it's mandatory. So Wisconsin butter graders are people who are licensed by the state, and they're supposed to go through something like 20 different categories, including whether the taste is metallic, whether it tastes sort of like cheese, whether it has kind of, different sort of how crumbly the butter is in their mouth. It's a very complicated and bureaucratic process, and it's no surprise that if you're a small business, you don't want to pay nearly $100 per hour for this bureaucrat to come in.
Okay, now help me on this a little bit, because this is intriguing to some degree. Do you mean to tell me?
No, it's intriguing to a lot of people.
Yeah,
a huge degree.
Yeah, well, here's the question I've got next. I didn't know, and I've been around agriculture almost all my life, but I did not know that there were courses in taste testing for becoming a better butter grader. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was definitely surprising to us, and that's, if someone wants to taste butter, they be our guest. We're not opposed to that in the least, but it's what is wrong is saying that if a government bureaucrat doesn't like the taste of their butter, then you shouldn't even be able to sell it to the consumers, because guess what? The bureaucrat might not have the same taste, the same likings as Wisconsin consumers.
Well, yeah, but
that's what it's all about, is that at the end of the day, businesses and entrepreneurs should be able to market their products to consumers and let the market decide. Let the consumer decide Don't let the bureaucrats decide.
I agree.
Which product is actually the best product for the consumer.
But isn't this very dangerous and very subjective to that one better butter grader and his taste buds? Let's assume that maybe it's in the spring during hay fever season and maybe he doesn't have the sensitivity of taste as he normally does, or maybe he's got a cold or whatever. I mean, that's all subjective to one person's opinion.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And even let's assume, for the sake of argument, he doesn't have a cold. The identified flavors listed are things that are defined as, quote, feed, quote, cooked, quote, acid, aged, bitter, coarse, flat, smothered, and I've only just listed half of them. So it's outright difficult, if not outright impossible, to have an objective system with all these sort of vague descriptions. And even worse, to say someone can't sell their butter in the entire state to thousands of Wisconsin consumers if it doesn't meet the subjective taste test, the subjective preferences of one butter grader, that's just outright wrong.
I can't even imagine being in that profession. Number one, after testing and tasting butter all day long, you might be the size of the Goodyear blimp to where they could put a camera on your head and fly you over the Rose Bowl. I mean, I can't even imagine doing that for a living.
Yeah, and, that's why some people, rather than tasting butter, go into the profession of churning butter, and that's what our client Adam Mueller does. He's a fifth-generation business owner of Minerva Dairy, and he wants, rather than tasting the butter himself, I mean, he does taste some of the butter himself to make sure the quality is good, but his primary objective is just to sell his delicious butter to consumers across the United States, and he's sold his butter so far for the last 30 years to consumers in all 50 states without any problems. And it's just recently when Wisconsin said, well, you can't sell your butter to our consumers anymore because a bureaucrat hasn't tasted your butter, and that's why we're mounting this constitutional challenge.
And when this really has, and I'm not a lawyer of your high standing, but I did take some legal courses before I finally figured out that, boy, I wasn't fit to be a lawyer. But this case really has more standing and more problems because it could go into other areas more so than just butter tasting, etc. When states basically say they want to be anti-competitive and not have any products come in that might compete with their growers and or producers, this is a case that could show bigger implications in the future, is it not?
Absolutely, and that's exactly what Pacific Legal Foundation does. We're a nonprofit. We defend people free of charge when the government violates their constitutional rights. But in our cases, we set precedent so that other people, just regular Americans, can use those cases to protect their own constitutional rights. So, I mean, we've had a really good track record of that so far with 9 consecutive Supreme Court wins. We litigate against these protectionist government barriers all the time. And just yesterday, we won pretty much a West Virginia case in which one of my colleagues represented a mover from Virginia and his right to compete in the West Virginia moving process. It's what's called a competitor's veto case.
Right. I had that on the program.
The West Virginia government changed its law, and we're happy to announce that victory for our clients. And, you can read more about those cases and cases like those at our website at pacificlegal.org or at blog.pacificlegal.org.
Now, let me hear this. Have you been, in order to do your job as a great attorney, which you are, have you actually tried to be a butter taster to see the other side of the story, to see if there were a lot of distinguishable differences?
Well, we have done a lot of preliminary research on what butter grading is and what it entails, and what we've discovered is that it's sort of a marketing tool, and that's why it's not mandatory in Idaho, it's not mandatory in California, it's not mandatory in any state besides Wisconsin. And, our case isn't about whether butter graders should be allowed to grade butter. It's about whether a butter maker should have its butter graded by a butter grader before it's able to sell in the state. And
Absolutely.
we say it shouldn't. It has nothing to do with promoting health and safety. It has nothing to do with the government interest in promoting health and safety. And, if it doesn't do that, then why not let the market compete? Why not let everyone grade butter? Why not let the consumers tell the butter maker what grade they would put on it? And if they like it, if they give it a A grade, a very high grade, then they buy the butter. If they don't, then the butter maker has to make a different kind of butter. And that's what the market is all about, and that's why we do the kind of work we do.
Amen. I tell you what, I've learned a lot this morning, and I appreciate it. Wen Fa, staff attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, you're a good guy, and I'm going to have you back in the future. You tell old Colin Callahan to make sure that you're on my A list. Appreciate it. God bless you, and come back soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I didn't know that, and can you imagine being a better butter taste tester? If you think for 5 seconds that I'm going to say that again, no, I don't think so. A better butter taste tester. There you go. And it's all subjective to one man's opinion. I did not know that. We've got to have a weather forecast, and then we'll take some better butter calls. Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I try to find every single kind of different story you can think of on this program. The weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, CPAs. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, retirement planning. You name it, they can help you with your business, financial statement preparation. 2 locations to serve you, Berkley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's the weather.
Typical spring day here in the Magic Valley, and this is what the weather forecast is for the rest of the week. We are expecting some rain showers for today, about an 80% chance, plus still on the breezy side, winds out of the southwest right around 15 to 25 miles an hour. Thunderstorms possible for this afternoon. High of 48, tonight low of 35. Tomorrow the wind's really going to be picking up out of the west right around 30 miles an hour. Gusts possible 45 plus, so we could be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. High of 47 with an overnight low of 31. Then for Friday, looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 51, and mostly sunny and close to 60 for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you very much. I appreciate it. Gina, brought to everybody by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, CPAs. I'll tell you, they're great. People that need their assistance, like people starting a business, partnership, or corporation, or business owners wanting to hire more employees, whatever, get a hold of the best. Get a hold of Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices at 1710 Overland and Burley and 620 Fifth Street in Rupert. I did not know this about all these butter tasters. What did he say they get? They get paid $100 an hour to taste butter. And if that taste tester, doesn't like it or doesn't think it meets his standards, they can put the kibosh on it? Holy cow. Who would want to be in the audience? I've never heard of that job. There we go, at another job fair. We'll make sure that we need butter taste testers. My goodness. And it's a big lawsuit. We'll follow that and see what happens. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In a related subject yesterday, and I applaud him for this, President Trump really stood up for American agriculture with his agricultural secretary, Sonny Perdue, and they signed an executive order promoting American agriculture. They're really going to get behind American agriculture. And I like the concepts and the thoughts of what this presidency and this administration are going to do, because I've said it on this program for years. that a strong country has to have a strong agricultural growth in its country to remain strong. And I like what Trump said yesterday. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi. I enjoyed your butter dialogue or discussion. Anyway, and I grew up on a dairy farm, and my dad sold his milk according to the butter fat that was in the milk, and that's what made our prices. And I grew up eating butter, and you know what? I still have to have butter on my toast because that margarine just doesn't taste like butter.
You know, let me ask.
You can tell if you've always eaten butter. You can tell the difference between some of them.
And butter is better for you. That garbage that they were always saying that you shouldn't have butter, you should eat all this other fake stuff, baloney. Butter is better for you. So be a better butter taster and buy real butter. I'm going to have fun with this the rest of the day.
Yeah, you're going to be twisting your tongue all day. Anyway, butter, you don't have to eat a pound of butter a day. But in moderation, butter is good for you because it has a lot of things in it that margarine will never have.
You know, have you ever seen, and I can't imagine how they can do this, but I remember one time in college that one of the guys that lived down the street in another fraternity house, you would see him go to the grocery store, Chris, and I'm not making this up, and he would be eating pads of butter walking down the street. Just butter all by itself.
Oh, well, it kept him regular, I think.
Yeah.
But that much would be pretty hard on you.
Well, I would look at it like on a nice biscuit or a bran muffin or a piece of toast or on a bagel or something, but not just all by itself. I couldn't handle that.
The kid was lacking something, either in his brain or in his diet. I don't know which.
Well, you must...
Butter is not a bad thing. People just can't put it on everything.
There you go.
Because they don't take all of the fat out of it. That's why it's called butter.
There you go. God bless you, Chris. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And now, for more of our Better Butter Taste Testers, here is caller number 2. Good morning.
Well, the truth of the matter is my father had high cholesterol, and this is back when I was just a boy, and we quit eating butter because the doctor said we needed to eat margarine.
Uh-huh.
And if you've ever done any research on margarine, unless I'm wrong, which could be true, but I don't think I am, this margarine stuff is like one molecule away from plastic or something. There's a thing that they do that, you know, this stuff is terrible. And to make people believe that it was good for you, it's been proven that it's terrible and that butter is really good for you. And your body loves butter fat. And that's the reason why when you eat it, you go, oh, my word, is this stuff great or what?
You know something?
I just recently was checked. I eat butter all the time. I've never had margarine in my house. If you bring it in, I'm going to just bring it right in the trash. And so, but I recently, bought some life insurance when I was checked over, and she says, I can't believe how healthy you are. And I says, well, I don't take any prescriptions, and I take care of myself to a degree. I have other things that I do, but one of the things I do every day is eat butter. And I've had doctors tell me that butter was good for me. See, when we start taking things into our bodies that are man-made and whatever they are, we really need to think about it. It's just like taking prescription. We were given a brain, we're given our temple, our body, and you have the discernment to know better.
Yep. Randy, just close your eyes for a minute. Hold on to the phone. Close your eyes and dream of zucchini bread made by my wonderful Chef Boyardee wife, Deanne, with cranberries and walnuts and all the other added amenities to zucchini bread, hot out of the oven, and then put a great big slab of real butter on that zucchini bread. It's fantastic.
Well, is she making some today, Zeb? I'm headed to Twins.
Well, don't stop because it's all mine.
Hey, you know, your wife makes pancakes, you know?
Yep.
However, you know, and she takes them out, and before she even gives them to me, she puts butter on the pancakes.
Oh.
And it's melting.
Oh, yeah.
She puts them on my plate. I put a little, real maple syrup from, the east, northeast, Canada, wherever. Real maple syrup on there. I'm telling you, margarine, you can take that stuff and run over it with a truck.
Well, I guarantee you, you've made me start drooling on the program. Thank you, Randy, old buddy. See you later. Appreciate it. There's nothing better than real butter, like on a bagel or fresh homemade bread, or like zucchini bread, or like Randy said, on maybe a short stack of pancakes, and just let it melt and mix in with that syrup. Oh, when's lunch? Oh, my goodness. Hey, don't forget Kelly's Bearing Supply at 1407 East Main in Berkeley. Don't let your machine sit there while you wait for a part to come in, for heaven's sakes. They've got all the bearings and the chains and the brackets, and they can help you, and they've got a slogan that says you'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's. Stop in and see Zach or Brett or Alex. Yes, got added to the list. Kelly's Bearing Supply, 1407 East Main in Berkeley, 678-9398. What have we got coming up next hour? Well, I thought you'd never ask. We're going to be talking to the Berkeley FFA, and they've got some students that are going to go on the phone with us for about 10, 15 minutes. And we're going to be talking about their greenhouses and their projects over there. It sounds like they are really doing a jam-up job, and we're looking forward to getting them on the air. And then at 10:30 this morning, we're going to talk to the Idaho Freedom Foundation, Fred Birnbaum, up in Boise. So those are just a few of the things that we've got cooking for the rest of the program this morning. Let's see, what else have I got here? Oh, it is. I'm going to remind everybody again so you don't get in trouble. It is Administrative Professionals Day. And it used to be called Secretary's Day. Well, no more. It's Administrative Professionals Day. It's been first originated in 1952, and a heavy suggestion that you treat your administrative professionals to maybe a gift of flowers or chocolates or all of the above, or take them all out to eat or give them a bonus or whatever. But the employer that fails to recognize this holiday, it'll be at his peril. Hey, have a good day. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't go away. Oh, my goodness sakes. Little bit of sunshine out there. As I look out to the north, I'm seeing some broken clouds, some blue sky. Oh, goody. A lot better in the wind than all those clouds and rain. Morning, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big spring tire sale going on. And also some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them 734-6969. We'll go to our guest in just a moment. Stand by. But right now I also want to remind you about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, and they are the only locally owned and operated assisted living center in the Mini-Cassia area. And they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best for your family members. And they invite the public to come by the facility anytime for tours. All you have to do is just remember the address and the phone number. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. You know, this is interesting. I'm always, and I always have been, pro-ag, and I'm looking forward to talking to some really sharp students at Berkeley High School and talking about their greenhouse programs. And I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark right now. A young lady by the name of Dakota called me a couple of days ago and asked if they could come on the program. Dakota, are you there?
She is not yet, sir, but I am getting her on the phone. I had a little troubles when I tried calling the first time, but I'm getting over to the ag department.
What's the matter with the phones this morning? Okay, you try to get over there if you can right away. I'd appreciate it. While I'm waiting for you to get them on the line, I also want to tell everybody about our friends at Lennox with Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems. And they are offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox systems that will keep your home feeling perfect on the inside. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 and find out more about Ramsey and Lennox saving you money. Wheels, what about it? Have we got them?
Hold on, sir.
Well, I have no idea what the problem is, but hopefully we'll get them on the air momentarily. And I want to remind you, too, that if you'd like a copy of the DVD, I should say, of Russell Smith's birthday party that we had last week at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, in honor of his 92nd birthday, all you have to do is give me a call at 312-2976. Give me your name, and we'll take care of making sure that you can obtain a copy of that great big birthday bash we had last week. Go ahead, Wheels.
It's not letting me put in an extension number. When I go to the ag department, it just asks, or it tells me that I can reach the teachers that are in the ag department. But I'm not sure exactly what teacher it might be.
Well, it's Sam Condi. Put it back in, call again, or call the head office at the school and get that line into that office immediately.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. While we're waiting, it's Sam Condi's class, the Berkley High School Agri-Science and Technology class, and he is also the FFA advisor. And they are waiting over there patiently for us, hopefully, to give them a call. And the number that was given to us was 878-6642 with an extension number of 2712. Now, if they're listening over there in that office, they might want to try to call 436-2244. And we will get them on the air, hopefully in the next couple of minutes. And again, I'll check with Wheels in just a moment. Don't forget, Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Be sure and contact them. And they're even looking for retired folks that want to work on a part-time basis, a couple of days a week or whatever. Don't forget to give them a call and find out more. And they've got great vacation schedules along with super good benefit programs. Don't forget Dale and Paul, 438-8886. Allen in Twin Falls at 731-2495. Or Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Do we have them on the line?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Is this Dakota?
No, this is Brittany Murad. Dakota couldn't come today, so I have another girl with me. Her name's Ainsley Mathis. And Melanie Searle.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the program this morning. And are you on a speakerphone or are you on a handheld telephone?
Speaker.
Turn the speaker off and just use the handheld because there's too much of an echo. Thank you. And Brittany, tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Berkley High School Greenhouse Program. I understand that you've got a potential opening date of May 8th at 4 p.m. What's going on over there?
Yeah, so we open at May 8th, and we've got tons of flowers. We have 900 geraniums alone, and then we have 2 greenhouses full of 6x6 flats. And we're super excited, and we're open until everything's sold out.
Okay, now, Brittany, what is this, a new innovative idea to have a greenhouse and then have plants for sale? Who came up with all this idea?
So the greenhouse for our high school started in 1985 by Dr. Smyer, and it's been ran since then, and a bunch of kids that graduate, they come back and they help out, and so it's just a great community project.
Okay, now, what about the money? Where does the money go from the sale of the plants?
So the money that we get, we go back and we put it back into the greenhouse, and we're looking to build a new greenhouse, and so the money that we we're going to save up for a new greenhouse.
How big is the greenhouse or greenhouses that you have right now? I mean, give us a little bit of the particulars. How are they put together, and what temperature are they kept at, etc.?
So we have 3 greenhouses right now. We have a big one. It's probably 70 feet long.
Uh-huh.
And 20 wide, so that's the big one. And then we have 2 smaller ones. They're cold frames. And so we start them off in the big greenhouse, and then we put them in the cold frames when they're bigger, and they can handle them.
All right, now Brittany, is this part of a special class or a special education portion of learning your agri-science at Berkley High School? Why would people want to get involved in this greenhouse growing of all these different plants?
Well, we learn a lot about the plants in our class. We learn a lot about perennials and annuals and what kind of soil and fertilizers they need, what makes the plants grow, what makes them strong. And then also the kids in the class, they have to have 35 outside of class hours, so they really learn how to manage their time and be responsible and learn about things they're passionate about.
Okay, now what are some of the different varieties of plants and flowers, etc., that you grow over there?
So we have a ton of geraniums, but we also have dianthuses, pansies, lobelias. We have a lot. Wave petunias, we have a lot of wave petunias.
Okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot here, my dear young lady. What in the world, dianthuses? What is that?
Dianthuses? Dianthuses are actually a perennial plant, so they'll come back year after year. And they don't have a very big bulb on them. They're just kind of short and plump. And they don't spread. They're just kind of like one little plant.
Oh, kind of like a lot of people with overeating. They're short and plump, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I also understand that you have a lot of hanging baskets that were designed by the greenhouse students. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah. So we have around 30, I think, hanging baskets. Oh, 50, never mind, sorry. 50 hanging baskets, and we designed them ourselves, and we planted them, the greenhouse students did, and they sell for $25 a basket, and they're beautiful.
Okay. Now, when are the hours that you're open over there at the greenhouse so people can stop by and check out all the plants, including the diathenis and the potted plants and everything else? What hours are you open?
So we're open after school, so 3:30, or just 2:30 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, and then on Saturdays we're open from 9 a.m. to 3.
Okay, now, Brittany, we have a caller with a question, so you listen carefully, and we'll see what the caller wants to ask. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, do they have any plants that you can eat?
I'll ask her. What about any plants for human consumption? Are you growing anything that would be edible for people?
We have tomatoes and peppers.
Tomatoes and peppers. Boy, you're on the way to starting a great salsa business. Well, now, what about the prices? Are you the same price as maybe other people around the area? Are you a little bit more economical? Tell us about the pricing.
We are a little bit more economical than the other places. We have free labor, so we can sell them for pretty much what we want.
What about the students like yourself? Do you have aspirations of getting into this kind of industry for future work?
I personally enjoy flowers and botany, and so I think it would be an interesting career to look forward into.
Now, are you a junior, a senior? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a junior this year.
Okay. And so you're going to take another year of doing this at Berkley High School. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What about the boys? Do the boys get involved in this at all?
They do, actually. We, in our greenhouse classes, 40% of them are boys, so we do have quite a bit.
Okay. Now, you say you're going to be open until you've sold out all the plants, and the money's going to go back into the greenhouse program. Boy, there's been a lot of changes in agri-studies over the years. It sounds to me like you're pretty much involved in an excellent program over there at Berkley.
We have a great program.
Okay, how does it stack up like with other high schools in the area, or for that matter, the state? Do a lot of the schools, have they started these greenhouse programs?
I think a lot of schools have greenhouse programs, but they're definitely not as big, and they're definitely not as like put together and advanced as ours is.
Okay, now you mentioned to me earlier that a lot of students put in 35 hours at least beyond normal classroom time. Who makes sure that John or Mary or Betty or Stuart are going to be there on time? Do you have somebody that kind of oversees all the schedules?
We have Condi, he makes sure we're there and stuff, but most of the time it just goes by the honor roll. We sign in and out, and we put our hours down, so it's just kind of, our word.
What's the big thing that you've learned so far in growing plants in a greenhouse or being involved in working in a greenhouse? What's it like? I don't know that much about it, so explain it to us.
I've learned that it's super crazy. There's a lot more work that goes into it than what I would think. Time management, for one thing. You got to get the seeds planted when in a gap of a window so that they're ready, and then you have to constantly transplant them into bigger pots because they grow so fast. We learn how to put in an honest effort because people want our plants. We want our plants to look good so people enjoy them. And so we try to do our best.
Well, now Mother's Day is looming right around the corner, I believe, on May 14th. So everything that you have over there in the greenhouse, that would make a great gift for Mom, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now give us again all the pertinent information about when you're open and the sales and when can people stop by and make sure that they're going to find somebody there.
All right. So we open May 8th. And any day in the week, we're open from 2:30 to 6. And on Saturdays, we're open from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the specials that we have going right now, if you can get 6 six-packs and you can mix them up, and they're $18 a flat if you buy 6 of them. And then we have 10 4-inch pots, and you can get 10 of them, and then they're $35 for all of them.
Okay.
And 10 4-inch pots of wave petunias, and they're $45 for all those 10. And 10 4-inch pots of pansies, and they're $20 a flat. And our hanging baskets, I told you 25, but they're 30.
Okay. The price went up with inflation while we were on the phone, right? Okay. Is there anybody else there that would like to add something to our program this morning?
They're good.
Okay, they're good. Okay, well, I want to tell you how much I'm proud of what you're doing over there, and it sounds like it's a really good project. Now, can you personally tell the difference after studying this class of all the different plants and all the different flowers? Do you know all the names?
I don't know all of the names, mostly because I can't pronounce half of them, but, I'm definitely more familiar with them.
I asked a question of a lady not too long ago on my program, how they ever came up with the name of daffodils or peonies or peonies, however they want to pronounce it. Do you have any idea as to the name derivations of all these plants and flowers?
I don't.
Is your instructor sitting there, Sam Condi?
Yes.
Put him on the phone for a second.
Okay, here he is.
Okay, Sam, you are the Berkley High School Agri-Science and Technology teacher and the FFA advisor. You tell me, who in the world came up with all the names of these flowers from pansies to petunias? Where did they get their name derivation?
I don't know, but they must have had too much time on their hand. That's all I can say.
Well, I thought sure you'd come on and give me kind of the teacher's balderdash and go through a great big litany of reasons as to why peonies are called peonies or peonias.
I can't tell you that answer myself. I struggle, so I have to ask our outside help. We have alumni that come back and help us run the greenhouse, too, that have done a marvelous job this year helping us. So they help us understand why. They go to college and come back and help us.
You know, how big is this project right now, Sam, as far as the greenhouse programs, not only here but at other portions of not only Idaho but across the United States?
It's a vital part. It's an integral part of the program, too. I mean, a lot of the young ladies have come in and gotten involved with the FFA because of that reason. Our program is about a 60-40 split as far as the greenhouse. 60% of the young ladies in our chapter are in the class, and 40% of the young men are in there as well.
Now, there's a lot to be said about the way that you're doing things in greenhouses, but also with the plants and the flowers. The flower business seems like it's really escalating in popularity all across the world, is it not?
It has. This is something that kids can learn valuable skills at, and then they can take it on with them in their lives here after high school. They can pick up jobs at local nurseries while they attend the school. I know there's a business in Logan, Utah that asked us to send everybody down there that has been through the greenhouse program, because they use them through poinsettias, through their planting of their flowers as well. So it's a big thing.
Sam, is this some kind of a concept with greenhouse growing that is going to become larger and larger in agricultural programs all across the United States? I mean, is it a concept where a lot of people are going to be looking for maybe an increased number of food items?
Oh, I think so. I think you hit it right on the head. What was the individual teach a man how to fish, and he can fish for his family for the rest of his life? I think it's the same way. You teach young kids opportunities and what they can do in the soil, and the next thing you know, they're starting to take care of their little family by raising their own garden and becoming more involved in production agriculture.
Well, I think anything that's going to promote agriculture, I'm standing 100% behind. But again, I want you as the instructor to reiterate the value of this greenhouse and also the sale of these plants in the community. Go ahead.
It's vital. I mean, we go ahead and sell to the community members, and we take the money, we turn around and put it right back into the program to help run the greenhouse the following year. And last year we kind of got wiped out by mice. This year our crops look phenomenal. We've had guards at every door. Nobody's got in and hurt us at all. And so our plants this year, I would say, the best we've ever had in the time that I've been at BHS.
You mentioned mice problems, and I've got to ask you about that. It seems like last year was one that the rodents, whether it was the mice or I'm trying to think of the other lousy things that just infestated my arena and all around my barn and everything. Why? Why are there years where there seems to be such prominent numbers more so than most?
My feelings, it's the type of winter we have. Some years we've had mild ones, and so it kind of protects the ground and the animals, prosper underneath. But this year, I think with all the flooding and the cold and everything, I think we have a major kill with the rodents out there, and I'm very happy because I hate mice.
No, I couldn't agree more. Well, the opening day of your greenhouse is going to be May 8th, and then I said with Brittany that it's in great accordance to go over and check out the sales of all these plants and flowers for Mother's Day, which is coming up on May 14th. Any final thoughts, Sam?
No, it's all the kids. They do everything. They'll meet people at the door. They'll take them around. They'll answer all their questions. It's really a student-driven project, and I'm very thankful that we've got kids that step up, that are involved, and they've really quite enjoyed this.
Okay, we've got time for one quick question from a caller. Caller, I've only got a minute left. Real fast. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is not so much a question as a suggestion. We have a lot of people that are elderly, that they love to work in their yards and everything. Would it be possible for a group of these kids to get together and maybe use this as a project from start to finish?
Okay, well, I'll have Sam answer that. If you would, please, Sam. Thank you.
I think that's a great idea, Zeb. The juniors that are juniors right now had to put a proposal into their English department for their senior project next year. And I know some of the kids have gone into the community and talked to some area businessmen and the grade schools, and I think that they've got some projects like that lined up where they're trying to put together a garden or put together a big flower arrangement in some of the schools and some of the individual areas. So I know that there are seniors doing that. If there are people out there that would like to do that, we could get them on the list for next year. Okay. And I think that'd be a great service project because, kids going to college have to have hours of service in their community even be able to apply to the college. And so I think that's a phenomenal idea.
All right. Well, listen, Sam, I appreciate everything you're doing over there at Berkley High School, and thanks to the kids, thanks to the ones that contacted me, and also the young lady, Brittany, that was on the program this morning, and I wish you well on this project. I hope it's very successful.
Thank you, Zeb, and we do as well.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Excellent greenhouse program over at Berkley High School. And as he said, it is 100% run by the students, and they're doing very well. And they want you to stop by starting on May 8th and check out the great, great growth of all their different flowers and plants, etc., for your purchase at Berkley High School. Oh, my. Let's see what we've got to do here. I think we're pretty much caught up. What we're going to do in just a moment is send this back over to our main studios, and we're going to be coming back in just a few minutes with Fred Birnbaum, Vice President of the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Tomorrow on the program, I wanted to highlight that we're going to have the Chamber Report. We're going to have Rita Ramsey on. We've got Cassia County School Days. I can't remember who the guest is going to be for Cassia County School Days. And then we've got Bob Dvorak, and he's a veteran war correspondent and author. He's going to be on the program with us at 10:30 tomorrow. Right now, let's send it back over to our main studios. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
No, my goodness sakes, already the last half hour on a Wednesday, April 26th already. My goodness sakes. Let's go to the phone line right now. And boy, I hope we get 1 out of 3 here this morning in the last hour or so that's going to be on the phone. Good morning to the Vice President of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, Fred Birnbaum. Are you there, Fred?
Zeb, good morning. I sure am here.
Oh, my goodness. You don't know what a great thing it is to hear a voice on the other end of the line. We've had a little bit of difficulty getting a hold of some of our guests this morning. Fred, I've had you on the program before, and we've talked maybe briefly about the Idaho Freedom Foundation, what it is, what it does. But I think in fairness, why don't you give us another synopsis this morning as to really who you are and who you represent?
Seb, thank you for having me. The Idaho Freedom Foundation considers itself Idaho's premier conservative public policy advocacy organization. So we advocate for limited government, fiscal restraint, individual freedoms from things like excessive occupational licensure and regulations. And we operate by soliciting money from the public. We don't take any government funds. We're a small staff, and we've been around since late 2008. We're based in Boise, and we certainly work with the legislature when it's in session.
What would you say is your main daily chore, Fred? What number one thing do you try to achieve or try to get done daily?
Well, during the legislative session, I think it's different than when the legislature's out of session. So I'm going to give you a two-part answer. When the legislature's in session, we push for and lobby the legislature for bills and for spending that we feel fits the conservative perspective. And I can give you some specific examples of that.
Mm-hmm.
I worked a lot with the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee to present a smaller budget than the governor did. Unfortunately, the governor's budget was adopted largely intact. But that's one of the things that we work on. We also push for legislation. I'm going to give you a couple examples. The civil asset forfeiture bill that passed, that the governor vetoed. So it's sort of an individual liberties type bill where if people are stopped, they can't have their property taken without due process.
Right.
So during the legislature, it moves very fast. There are over 500 bills. We spend our time there. When the legislature is not in session, after the session, we highlight how the individual legislators voted and what they voted on, and I was going to talk about that. We present our Freedom Index. because we feel that a lot of people don't really follow state government, and they don't know exactly how their individual representatives are voting.
Okay.
So that's a very important thing that we calculate during the session and present after the session. I was going to talk a bit about that with you today.
Yeah, I've got so many questions, and I'm really kind of naive about the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Is it comprised of a large number of people that want to voice their concerns about different issues and different bills? Is it a smaller, kind of a condensed voice, if you will, opposition to some things that are going on? How many people are really involved?
So we have a staff of 5. We use some contract editors, but our staff is 5. We're very small. And over 80% of our donations come from people who reside in Idaho. So we have people who are conservative and allied with us, and they provide us with the funds so that we can do our research. And one of the things that we do is we review most of the bills that are voted on at the legislature. There are a lot of bills that never make it out of committee, some that are in committee and get voted down. But all the bills that ultimately make it to the floor, most of those we rate. And we rate the bills based on a matrix, and the matrix basically is structured to determine, does this piece of legislation grow government or does it shrink government? Does it support free enterprise and markets or does it restrict them? Does it provide tax relief or is it a tax increase? So we review the bills that the legislature votes on, either on the floor of the House or the floor of the Senate. We score those bills. It's a plus or minus score. The legislators vote, and how they vote determines their score on our Freedom Index. And this is one of our big projects every session because we cover over 100 bills that the House and the Senate vote on, and we rate those, we score them, and I provided to you a copy of our Freedom Index. And that's one of our big projects because the average citizen really has no way of knowing how his or her legislator votes. People hear about Congress a lot because of the things going on there, like the health care reform, but they really don't know the nuts and bolts of the Idaho legislature. And one of our big functions is to serve as a watchdog for the public and provide them with visibility as to what is happening at the legislature.
I guess where I'm a little bit still naive and questioning is, are we saying then that 5 people comprise basically the Idaho Freedom Foundation, and is it the gist and want of those 5 people as to standards that they want to see achieved for the entire state? I mean, are there more voices involved, or really is that it?
Well, I would characterize what you're saying a little differently. We're a small organization because we have limited funds, but we communicate regularly to our supporters. We have several hundred supporters. We provide them with the information, and everything we do is on our website, idahofreedom.org. So the public has absolute access. Everything we do is transparent. They can look at our bill ratings. They can look at how we rate fiscal spending bills. They can look at how we rate legislators. They can provide the feedback. So we have set up a system where we are a government watchdog and an advocate for liberty, but everything we do is available to anyone. You don't have to pay a dime. You can just go onto our site, and you can see how we review legislation, how the legislators vote. So it's all transparent.
Okay. Now, we have a caller with a question, and I'm going to defer to the caller, and then I'll come back, and I want to ask you another question about the criteria. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
With that definition he just gave of what they stand for and what they rate, it sounds to me like our legislature must have flunked this year. Anyway, I'll let him comment on that.
Okay. Fred, I think you heard the caller. Go ahead and respond.
Pardon?
I said I'm sure you heard the caller, so go ahead and respond.
I will do that. So the answer is I don't think they did very well fiscally, and here's why. And these are hard numbers. The legislature increased spending about 9% from the prior year. They called it only a 5.4% increase because they took a lot of the spending increases and they shuffled it to different funds. So they transferred it from the general fund to dedicated funds, or they called some spending reduction in revenue. So they understated the true spending. So yes, the legislature grew government a lot. I'm just going to give you one perspective. In 2007, there were about 18,500 state employees. Now they're close to 19.5. It's actually 19.3. So that's nearly 1,000 folks they've grown in state employment. That's just one perspective. And I realize the state has grown, but they really need 800 or 900 more employees because the state's population has grown. So yes, I would say many of the legislators who call themselves conservative, when you look at their votes, whether it's on spending or just on policy, they're not very liberty-oriented. They're certainly not small government-oriented.
Okay, now, Fred, let's go back to the criteria that you established for a grading system, if you will, of our senators and representatives. Can you explain that a little bit further as to how you come up with a good, bad, indifferent, good, bad, and ugly Clint Eastwood movie, whatever? How do you come up with a grading index?
So we have a Freedom Index rating metric that has 12 parts. And we look at a bill, and the bills are all posted online for the public to see. So the state legislature actually provides a service to the public where you can go and you can read the actual bill that's going to be voted on. So we can do that, and the general public can do that. And then our 12 criteria, I'm going to read most of them. It'll take quite a bit of time to read everything. It's a full page. But the first question, does it create, expand, or enlarge any agency, board, program, function, or activity of government? Conversely, does it eliminate or curtail the size or scope of government? So we read a bill, and if it of course, expands government, that would be a -1. If it curtails it, it would be a +1. Does it transfer function of the private sector to the government? Examples include government ownership or control of any providers of goods or services. So we would say if it does that if it expands government and transfers a function from the private sector to government, that's a minus score. If it does the opposite, it's a plus score.
Okay.
To give government any new, additional, or expanded powers to prohibit, restrict, or regulate activities in the free market. Conversely, does it eliminate or reduce government intervention in the market? Again, if it expands government, it's a minus score. If it reduces it, it's a plus score. So we ask these questions, we apply them to all the bills we rate, which is over 100 bills, and then when the legislators vote on the bills, we tally up all the points, and that's how we come up with their score. So everything is transparent, it's not arbitrary, and it's really about whether, from a policy perspective, is our legislature expanding or reducing the size of government? And overall, government is growing. I think that's pretty obvious to anyone who follows Idaho politics. And one of the reasons it's growing is many legislators who call themselves conservatives continuously vote for more and more big government.
Okay. Now let me, and Wheels, I need you to turn him up in my headset a little bit, please. Ride that gain a little bit. I noticed that there are some, and I'm not going to get into a series of names here this morning. We can do that at another time, another junction with different topics. But I noticed some have an A rating or even an A plus rating, and then there are others that have an F or an F plus. Boy, they have a wide range of spectrum there. And all those points are accumulated by how they voted on these bills. Is that correct?
Exactly. So all the points are accumulated, and it's just straight math to get the percentage. So if you voted correctly or pro-liberty on every single bill, I'll just mention one person, Representative Ron Nate, because he's the only one that did, you would get 100%. So out of 150 points, he voted for all the bills that were pro-liberty and against the ones that weren't, and he would get 100%. Now, as far as the grading, A plus down to F minus, we took the entire range of the vote scores, which the lowest was 39%, and that was someone in Boise in the North End, and the highest was Ron Nate, 100%, and that's 60-point spread, and we had 15 grading buckets from A plus to F minus. And so each bucket is 4 points. So the A plus was 100 to 96, and A is 95.9 to 92. So this is all statistically valid stuff. We spend a ton of time on it. We also, many national organizations rate people, like the National Rifle Association.
Right.
So this isn't really something new. We've just applied this idea to the state of Idaho. And yes, many legislators, when you look at their actual votes, don't come out very well. And that includes legislators in very conservative areas of southern and southeast Idaho, too.
Let me ask you this, with the ratings and the rankings, if you will, and I know the lion's share of these representatives and senators, for what benefit is it to the general public and even to the legislators to know their ranking and whether they were good, bad, or ugly?
Well, I think that's a two-part question, Zeb. To the general public, it's very important because if you're a voter and you think you voted for a conservative and the person you put into office votes for big government, then you have the right to ask them why they voted the way they did, and you can actually research their votes online. So I think that's that answer. As far as does it benefit the legislators, I think the answer is it depends on how they score and what they want to accomplish. There are actually some liberals in Boise who are proud of the fact that they do terribly on the index because they're very open. They believe in big government, and they'll actually say that they like the fact that they get a low grade on the Freedom Index because they believe government should grow. So those people benefit probably from getting a low score, and the pro-liberty ones that score well can say, look, I do what I say. It's the ones who say, I'm a conservative, but have low scores that probably don't like that being called out or highlighted. They probably think they're an A, but if they get a D or an F, there's a disconnect. And that's something, of course, we've seen in Washington, where people go to Washington representing conservative constituencies in states like Idaho, and I'm not saying our representatives necessarily, but there are many states. But then government gets bigger and bigger and bigger, even when the Republicans are in control. So I think it's an issue that's important to Idahoans, and I think Idahoans need to understand that many of their legislators who claim they're conservative either fiscally or on policy issues just are not when you look at the details.
Fred, let me ask you, do you think, and again, I'm looking at this through a very naive attitude because I don't know that much about your services, but do you think the voting public is utilizing the information that you have put together and understands what you're trying to do, and has it been helpful in their vote selection when they go to the polls?
Well, I don't have data to prove that it's helpful. I will say that certainly our supporters and people who are familiar with the index, who ask us about it, who have questions about the grades, they feel it's important. I can't give you precise numbers. It's just the same way as those people for whom the Second Amendment is very important. They get their American Rifleman magazine, and in it has the ratings of either congressmen, senators, or even state legislators, and they use, of course, a grading system, too. If you don't care about the Second Amendment, I suppose it doesn't matter. If you do, it's very important. So I would say the Freedom Index has the same, it's obviously we're not as big or as visible as the NRA, but it's the same sort of service that we're trying to provide. And there are other organizations, the American Conservative Union, that rate congressmen and state officials. So what we're saying is, here's a service we're offering to the public. You can use it if you desire. And if you have questions, feel free to ask those. And if you want to challenge our ratings, I would love people to do that because we always want to refine this and make it better. But this is something that we put a lot of effort in, and we don't just grab grades out of the air. We actually rate bills. The legislators vote on the bills. They get a score based on the votes. So we're not really grading the legislator absent his votes. We're looking at the votes, tallying those up, and saying this is the resulting score from the votes.
Is this organization, the Idaho Freedom Foundation, is it similar or comparable to other state organizations that are kind of watchguards and kind of overseers of what politicians are doing or not doing? Are you just one of many groups across the United States?
Zeb, that's a great question. So the short answer is absolutely. So many states have state organizations, watchdogs, as you termed it, that look at state legislators. In Texas, you have the Texas Public Policy Foundation. So many states have similar organizations that watch what the legislature does, just the way in Washington, D.C., you have the Heritage Foundation watching Congress, or you have the NRA, and of course there are liberal groups. I'm sure the ACLU has its own view of how people vote. So what we're doing is consistent with what is done in D.C. and it's with what's done in other states. We're basically saying, here's a view of how your legislators are voting on critical bills.
Okay. Now, what about the publicity of your organization? I mean, do you put out flyers? Do you send out mailers? How does the general public know you exist and that this information is available?
That's another very good question, because there's so much information out there with the advent of the Internet. How do we get heard? And one of the things that we're doing is we're using more and more social media. So, yes, we have a website. Yes, we send out emails. Yes, we send out letters to supporters. But we also are going to do a prospective project where we try to reach out to more people and tell them about what we do. And that's something we feel is very important, because there's just so much information out there, and it's hard for people necessarily to get the right information sometimes, or at least specific information about the legislature. So we are going to do a campaign, Hear Me Idaho, and that is it's designed so that people can express their point of view, share their ideas, and also learn perhaps what their legislature is doing while they're in session. Because
absolutely.
A lot of people, it comes and goes, and they just don't see it.
You know, Fred, I am...
I'll give you one example. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to... So that we were very much in favor of taking the sales tax off groceries and not bringing that up to debate it per se, but that's something that we championed, and we associated ourselves with that effort. So that's just one example.
All right. I am flat out of time, and I've still got a lot of questions, but Fred Birnbaum with the Idaho Freedom Foundation as the vice president. Come back again, Fred. I've enjoyed the visit. Thank you very much for being on my program this morning.
Thank you very much, Seb. I appreciate it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Very interesting, and sharing a lot of information I was not aware of, and checked out all these grading indexes of our senators and representatives. Some really surprised me. I've got to get a weather forecast on here right now, and it's brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Oh, they've got all the breakfast sausages. They've got all the bratwurst. They've got the new, leaner, and more economical buckboard bacon. You gotta try it in various flavors like smokehouse barbecue and ranch and lemon pepper. Oh yeah, all of it's good. All of it from Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Typical spring day here in the Magic Valley, and this is what the weather forecast is for the rest of the week. We are expecting some rain showers for today, about an 80% chance. Plus, still on the breezy side, winds out of the southwest, right around 50 to 25 miles an hour. Thunderstorms possible for this afternoon. High of 48, tonight low of 35. Tomorrow, the wind's really going to be picking up out of the west, right around 30 miles an hour. Just possible 45 plus, so we could be in a wind advisory for tomorrow. High of 47 with an overnight low of 31. Then for Friday, looks like partly cloudy skies, high of 51, and mostly sunny and close to 60 for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you very much, Gina. Don't forget Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, yeah. Or you can go to their website, scarrowmeats.com. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. It's delicious. Oh, my. I also want to tell you a little bit about our major sponsor, and I can't thank them enough for all they have done for us and all they've done for you. That's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, with a great big spring tire sale. Oh, you're going to go to Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred's back in Kansas, or you're going to head for Disney World, whatever. Make sure you've got the safe tires for your vehicle, your car, your pickup, your SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. All the different tires, all the different tread designs at all 7 locations. You know, along with that, the best in brake service with professionally trained technicians, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, the best in batteries. They want to make sure that you drive safely. All you have to do is stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best. Wow, we made it through the day. Old Wheels was sweating profusely over there for a while with trying to get everybody on the line. Good job, Wheels. Appreciate you. And we'll be back here again tomorrow morning at 8:06 and ride the horse for 3 hours till 11 o'clock right here on K-Bar 1230 a.m. and then streaming live on the internet all over the world, ZebBell.com. Oh, and we've had some people call and they say, well, how do we get cow pies and coffee cups? Just go to ZebBell.com, go through all the different procedures. You'll find cow pies and coffee cups. Click on it. Give us your address. We'll get it to you, okay? Cow pies and coffee cups comes out once a week. It's our blog for this program. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, remember the key words. The way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. See you tomorrow morning.